Okay, let's unpack this. We've got a really rich stack of sources here covering Proverbs chapter 22.
We do. It's a fascinating collection of wisdom. It touches on everything from how you raise your kids to how you manage your money.
And our mission for this deep dive is to give you a genuine shortcut to understanding it. We want to navigate its two pretty distinct literary sections and just pull out the most practical, high-impact nuggets.
That's right, because there's a huge structural shift that happens right in this chapter.
A massive one.
Mm.
For anyone who's been following along, the previous section was, hundreds of these short, two-line, punchy proverbs.
Yeah.
It felt like scrolling through a feed of ancient wisdom.
It did. And that rapid-fire format just stops cold at verse 17. The structure deepens. We move from these little one-liners to longer, more thematic paragraphs of advice.
And commentators connect this to other ancient writings. Right?
Yeah, many link it to the Egyptian text, Ameneme. It just shows this style of longer instruction was, part of the wider world of wisdom back then.
So we're moving from the Twitter feed to the deep instructional manual. Let's start with that foundation. The very first verses really frame the whole discussion on what true wealth is.
Verse 1. A good name is more desirable than great riches. Favor is better than silver and gold.
It immediately challenges you. Because our modern world equates wealth with a bank balance, period.
Exactly. The sources are clear. A good name is a wealth of respect. It's a recognized excellence in your character that, frankly, you can't put a number on.
But there's a tension there, isn't there? I mean, we all see people who get incredibly rich by sacrificing their good name. They trade that favor for cash.
And the text gives us a necessary caution on that. While character is the goal, the pursuit of a reputation of just being liked can become its own trap.
It can become an idol.
Precisely. The only truly safe honor is honor that comes from a higher source. If you're just chasing public opinion, you've already lost.
That reframes everything, and that focus on what's internal on character leads right into verse 2, which tackles the biggest social divide there is.
The rich and the poor, they have this in common. The Lord is the maker of them all.
The great equalizer.
It forces both groups to stop seeing each other through stereotypes. One source puts it beautifully: at the gate of the invisible world, that distinction between rich and poor is just dropped. You stand equally before your Creator.
Okay, so from character and equality, we move really quickly to prudence. Verse 3.
The prudent man foresees evil and hides himself.
But the simple pass on and are punished.
The nugget here is so practical. The best defense is often prevention, and that requires vision. Wisdom isn't always about picking a fight.
Sometimes it's knowing when to duck.
Exactly. Knowing when to let the danger pass by. The simple person lacks that foresight and just walks right into trouble they could have avoided.
And the reward for all this is laid out in verse 4, connecting humility to destiny.
It's the ancient formula for success. Humility, a proper view of yourself. The fear of the Lord, a proper view of God.
And those two things together lead to riches, honor, and life.
Right. It's the opposite of that greedy, grasping approach we see so much. True success is presented as the reward of humility, not the result of your own frantic ambition.
So once those foundations are set, the text just pivots. It goes straight to the highest pressure points in life, raising kids and handling money.
Let's start with verse 6, which is maybe the most famous parenting proverb out there. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Every parent clings to this verse. But that phrase, the way he should go, has a really critical nuance, doesn't it?
It does. The Hebrew has two complementary meanings. The first is about customized coaching, discerning that child's unique strengths and weaknesses, training them according to their way.
So not a one-size-fits-all model. It's seeing the kid for who they are, not who you want them to be.
Precisely. But the second meaning is that general way of wisdom, the path of truth. So you're guiding their unique personality onto that universal wise path.
Now, the sources are quick to caution parents here. This is a general principle, not an ironclad guarantee. How do we square that?
Well, we have to remember, the whole point of the book is teaching young people to make moral choices. The youth still has freedom to choose sin.
So the parent's hard work isn't wasted.
Never wasted. But the moral choice ultimately belongs to the individual.
Okay, shifting gears to economics. Verse 7 is just a brutal reality check.
The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender.
It's so concise. While we're all equal before God, we are absolutely not equal in the marketplace.
And debt creates that power imbalance. One source calls it inherently debilitating and demoralizing. The verse is a massive call to strive for financial freedom to avoid that trap.
And that warning flows right into this idea of sowing and reaping. Verse 8 says, "He who sows iniquity will reap sorrow."
It's the moral law of cause and effect. Your sins, your injustices. They're seeds. The crop must be according to the seed. It's that simple.
But the flip side, verse 9, presents this beautiful paradox about giving.
Yeah, a generous man will be blessed, for he gives of his bread to the poor. The generous person is literally called good am I.
And they participate in what one source calls a cycle of endless enrichment.
Which is so counterintuitive. The greedy person tries to hoard and consolidate and often loses. The generous person gives away and gets more back. You just can't outgive God.
Okay, now the wisdom starts to drill down on what you might call social hygiene, what to do with people who just ruin the atmosphere.
Verse 10. Cast out the scoffer and contention will cease.
It's that simple.
It is. The strife in a group is often created by one person, the scoffer, who spreads that cynical discord. You remove that person, you restore the peace. It's active management of your community's tone.
I love that it moves straight from that to the sluggard's excuse in verse 13.
Yeah.
The lazy man says, "There's a lion outside, I shall be slain in the streets."
It's so absurd. It's meant to be funny. The world of work is so terrifying to this person that he invents a totally fantastic imaginary obstacle. Lions were not prowling the streets of ancient Judea.
And the lion today is just.
Yeah.
The perfect excuse to procrastinate, right? The invented drama. The danger isn't the lion. The danger is the laziness itself.
Right. And that fantasy danger is immediately contrasted with a very real danger in the next verse.
Verse 14. The mouth of an immoral woman is a deep pit.
Unlike the sluggard's imaginary lion, this is described as a very real, deadly predator. A pit that's easy to fall into, but incredibly hard to escape. It leads to ruin.
Which brings us to the internal challenge of discipline in verse 15. Foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child.
But the rod of correction will drive it far from him.
The core idea here is that children aren't morally neutral. They're born with this foolishness, a sin nature. I mean, they lie and have tantrums without anyone teaching them how.
And that innate foolishness requires an intentional strategy from the parent. The goal is to tear down the foolishness and build up wisdom.
And there's a crucial nuance here. The discipline is for being a wicked child, not just for being childish.
That is such an important distinction. The rod here refers to wise, properly applied correction, not uncontrolled anger or violence.
So now we've hit verse 17. We are fully in the 30 sayings of the wise, and it opens with this big invitation.
Right, verses 17 to 21 are a call. Incline your ear, apply your heart, fix these words on your lips.
And the purpose of it all?
So that your trust may be in the Lord. That's the key. True wisdom doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you more dependent on God and more confident in the truth. It gives you clarity.
And that clarity is immediately applied to justice for the poor, verses 22 and 23.
Do not rob the poor because he is poor. This is a message of divine defense. The wisdom writer warns that God himself will plead their cause.
So if you oppress the poor, you're not just dealing with a weak victim.
You're dealing directly with their creator. It's a massive warning against exploitation.
The advice then shifts back to your personal life, your friendships, verses 24 and 25.
Do not make friendship with an angry man, lest you learn his ways and set a snare for your soul.
You become who you hang out with.
Basically, yes. If you surround yourself with someone who's constantly flying off the handle, you pick up those habits. Anger is called a short madness. Choosing friends is choosing your future self.
Now we get the expanded warning on financial entanglement. Co-signing.
Yes, verses 26 and 27. Do not be one of those who gives pledges or puts up security for debts.
And this is seen as even more dangerous than your own personal debt.
Far more dangerous. You're guaranteeing someone else's reliability. In the ancient world, if they failed to pay, the lender could take your property, even the bed you slept on.
It's like losing the shirt off your back for someone else's mistake. A huge risk for zero return.
Exactly. And that principle of respecting boundaries extends to the land itself in verse 28. Do not remove the ancient landmark.
This was literal, right? Moving stone markers was a major crime.
A huge crime. It was about guarding family inheritance. But the spiritual application for us is just as important.
Be careful with traditions.
Be careful with customs, traditions, foundational values. Don't just tear something down without understanding why it was put there in the first place.
And the chapter brings it all home with a final practical measure of a person's worth in verse 29.
Do you see a man skilled in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before unknown men.
Excellence is its own reward.
It's the reward of competence and diligence. It doesn't promise you'll be rich, but it promises you'll have standing. If you commit to being excellent at what you do, you will be sought out by people of influence.
And the sources draw this fascinating connection to Jesus, who excelled in his work, whether as a carpenter or in accomplishing salvation, and now stands as the King of Kings. So we started this deep dive with the value of a good name and finished with the power of diligent work. We covered so much ground, from the sluggard's fantasy lion to the very real danger of debt.
And the core takeaway is consistent through all of it. Every choice you make, financial, relational, vocational, is guiding you.
Yeah.
Either toward the path of wisdom or onto that difficult road of the perverse, which is lined with snares.
And the chapter insists that true success, wealth, honor, and life is the reward of humility, not something you can frantically chase and grasp on your own.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to consider. If the ultimate prize of a life well lived isn't wealth itself, but the character that earns the favor of the king, what daily choice are you making today that truly reflects your priority? Pursuing the reward or cultivating the humility that receives it?